BigFooT encounter. In British Columbia, in early October, the Fraser Valley doesn't just introduce you gently to the wet season, it throws you headfirst into a relentless downpour. Living in Vancouver comes with this constant rain that saturates everything, including your thoughts, making the air feel heavy with more than just moisture. That morning, we left Vancouver while it was still dark, with windshield wipers working furiously against the torrents as we drove east on Highway 7. Jason, our ever-enthusiastic friend, had been buzzing about an old trail he'd found on a forgotten corner of the internet, a hidden logging road in the hills above Agassiz, shrouded in mystery. We often teased Jason about his wild ideas. "Are you sure it's not just a dirt path to nowhere?" Alyssa quipped, nudging him. But sometimes his discoveries led us to truly thrilling experiences. As we veered off the main road, the pavement gave way to gravel, and a sagging "Road Not Maintained" sign stood as a lonely sentinel. The truck stopped in a small clearing, surrounded by cedar and fir trees so dense it felt like the forest was closing in on us. With no cell service, no houses nearby, and only the sound of rain tapping on the truck, a tense silence enveloped us. We huddled under the tailgate, passing around a thermos of steaming coffee. Alyssa scanned the tree line. "Feels kind of closed in here," she murmured, her voice nearly lost in the rain. Jason grinned, his excitement undampened. "That's just the weather. Once we're out there, it'll open right up," he said, patting his camera as if it were a good luck charm. "They say there's something unusual about these woods, something people can't explain. I'm going to become famous like the Patterson-Gimlin film," he muttered, with a hint of mystery in his voice. Little did we know, those words were a prelude to the unforeseen challenges awaiting us. The trail was just two muddy tracks carved into the earth, with moss growing thickly in between, and sword ferns spilling over, as if trying to reclaim what was once theirs. Rain dripped through the canopy, heavy and steady, each drop landing on my hood, with a smack before sliding down my collar like icy fingers, sending shivers down my spine. I felt miserable, cold, and soaked, questioning why I had agreed to this trip in the first place. With each step, my boots squelched in the mud, and the air was filled with the strong, damp smell of wet cedar that clung to everything. This wasn't the kind of adventure I'd imagined, but we always did these things for Jason. Jason lagged behind, fiddling with his camera. "What the hell's going on?" he muttered. "The battery's already down 10%. He shook it, hoping it would fix the problem. "I just charged it this morning." Alyssa laughed, glancing over her shoulder. "You buy cheap, you get cheap results." Jason didn't join in the laughter. "It's not cheap. It's a high-end Panasonic," he said defensively, as if protecting a dear friend. "It keeps freezing for a second, like it's trying to capture something that isn't there." We shrugged it off, but as we continued, I noticed Jason looking at his camera more than the trail, as if he sensed something we didn't. The forest was eerily quiet, the usual sounds of wildlife absent, making it feel as if the path was leading us somewhere, intentionally. Somewhere up ahead, a raven called out, its sharp cry cutting through the rain. Another raven answered from a distance, but then the forest swallowed the sound once more, leaving an eerie silence that made my skin prickle. I caught Alyssa's eye, and her nervous glance mirrored my own unease, hinting that we might not be alone in these woods. As we walked, we suddenly heard it and froze mid-step. The sound was deep and echoing, like someone hitting a tree with a big stick. It didn't seem like an accident. It sounded like a message. We stood still, rain dripping from our hoods. The rain seemed to pause with each knock, as if the forest itself was listening. Jason slowly raised his hand for silence. His usual grin vanished. "That wasn't nothing," he whispered, his voice barely above the rain's whisper. Alyssa shrugged, trying to act cool, but her voice trembled slightly. "Relax, Jason. Maybe it's just your unusual wildlife activity," she joked, rolling her eyes at him, but I noticed her hands were shaking. "In this weather?" I asked, peering into the trees, feeling a knot of fear tighten in my stomach. The knocks came again, slower this time, and closer. Each sound felt like it was pulling the air out of the space around us, making the forest feel as if it was holding its breath. The forest around us felt different now, like it was watching us. I saw Jason swallow hard, his eyes darting nervously. "Maybe we should head back," he suggested, doubt creeping into his voice. But the path seemed to be leading us somewhere. My heart raced as I wondered what lay ahead. What was out there, hidden in the shadows? We kept moving forward, trying to stay calm, but each step felt heavier than the one before. My eyes darted to the edges of the trail, where the light barely reached, making everything seem mysterious and spooky. About 10 minutes later, we heard a thud to our right, something heavy hitting the wet ground. I turned my head just in time to see it for a split second. Between two tall cedar trees, I swear I saw a shape, big, with wide shoulders, standing perfectly still. It was so dark it seemed to swallow the light around it. Then, in one smooth, almost lazy move, it stepped back into the shadows and disappeared. Jason muttered, "What the hell?" His voice was barely a whisper, but it made my stomach twist with fear. Alyssa turned to me, her face pale like someone had just pulled the floor out from under her. Her eyes were wide, her lips parted, and the rain ran down her cheeks. But she didn't blink. She didn't need to say a word. We all felt it. Something was out there, watching us. The air felt colder, and a shiver ran down my spine. My heart pounded in my chest, and I felt like we were no longer alone. Whatever that shadow was, it was real, and it was close. We heard the knocks again, now echoing from behind us. Then another set from ahead, answering back like a secret code. "They're surrounding us," I blurted out, my voice trembling. The air felt thick, with a musky, damp smell, tinged with something rotten. My stomach churned. Footsteps followed, slow and deliberate, matching our every move. When we stopped, they stopped. When we moved, they moved. Jason whipped his camera around just in time. There it was, a creature towering at 8 feet, with hair hanging like wet ropes. Its eyes glowed, catching the light. They fixed on us, unblinking. "Go!" he yelled, his voice urgent, slicing through the tension. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest. Sweat trickled down my back despite the cold. Alyssa's hand was clammy in mine, her grip tight with fear. I could feel the dread settling in, like the stories Jason always told about creatures lurking in these woods. Could this be one of them? We had to run, but where to? And was it too late to escape whatever was closing in on us? We sprinted downhill, dodging slippery rocks and stumps. Behind us, the knocks were replaced by heavy footsteps closing in. My breath burned in my throat, and fear pushed us forward. The ground leveled out, revealing the creek, a rushing brown torrent from days of rain. We had no choice but to plunge straight through. The icy water numbed us instantly, stealing our resolve. Halfway across, 3 knocks echoed, one from each bank and another upstream. My heart dropped to my stomach. "They're not stopping," I gasped, panic rising. We scrambled up the far side, pulling Alyssa along. I turned just long enough to see the figure at the water's edge. It stood there, chest rising and falling steadily, eyes fixed on us. It didn't cross yet, but then it bared its long, sharp fangs, making my blood run cold. "Keep going, they're not stopping, man," I shouted, urging us onward. But as we ran, a chilling question lingered. Could we truly escape whatever was lurking in the shadows? The trail climbed again, zigzagging toward the ridge. The forest grew denser, wrapping around us like a dark blanket, even though it was midday. The light barely seeped through the thick canopy. Every few minutes a knock echoed, one ahead, one behind. It felt like they were guiding us, pushing us towards some unknown destination. Jason was breathing hard, each step a struggle. The hill wasn't doing him any favors, but he kept his camera up, scanning the dripping branches for any movement. Suddenly, a massive shadow swept across the trail, 20 meters ahead, vanishing before I could blink. Jason lifted the camera, but the screen froze. "What the heck?" he muttered, tapping it desperately. A few seconds later, it flickered back to life. Behind us, a low, vibrating call, half shriek, half growl, rolled through the trees, hitting me like a drumbeat in the chest. Alyssa's voice trembled. "No, no, no, this can't be happening." Jason rushed past her. "It's happening, man." We couldn't slow down. The knocks, the shadows, the eerie calls, they were all leading us somewhere. But where? And what waited for us at the ridge? Finally, through the thinning trees, I spotted a pale shape. It was our truck. We sprinted toward it, using every last bit of energy, with Jason lagging behind. The forest behind us was now silent, eerily silent, as if holding its breath. We reached the truck. Jason tossed his bag into the back. Alyssa climbed in quickly. I turned the key. The engine sputtered. My heart skipped a beat. I tried again, and thankfully, it roared to life. In the side mirror, I saw two faint points of light between the cedar trunks, eyes watching us, shining in the dark. What were they, and why were they following us? The logging road was a slippery mess, making every turn feel risky. Inside the truck, we sat in silence, tension hanging in the air. Halfway to the pavement, an earthy, sour smell suddenly filled the cab, like wet fur and turned soil. It vanished as fast as it came, leaving us puzzled and uneasy. The dashboard flickered, gauges dropping, needles twitching, and then everything steadied again. We exchanged nervous glances but said nothing. What was causing these strange occurrences? And were we truly safe yet? Under the bright lights of the gas station, we started to feel normal again. Jason checked the photos on his camera. Rain-soaked trees. Alyssa under her hood. My boots in the creek. But then, nothing. A single photo was missing. Not blurry or corrupted, just blank gray. It was the frame where the shadow had stood between the cedar trees. It's the same spot where the camera froze. "What the hell?" Jason said, his voice tinged with confusion. Alyssa smirked. "That's not a coincidence." Every other picture was fine. Only the one that mattered had vanished. Why had the crucial image disappeared? And what did it mean? I wish I could end this with a photo, something solid, a shape in the frame. But Jason says that's just how these things work. Maybe he's right about that. The knocks were real. The shadows weren't shadows. And the photo didn't vanish by accident. If you ever find yourself in those ever-soaked hills above Agassiz, and the rain keeps carrying on with its rhythm, that isn't the rain, it's a tree knock. Don't answer, don't wait to see. Just run